I usually don't review USB condenser microphones anymore, especially of the cheaper variety, because usually they just don't feel like they're worth my time. But this one, the K670 from Fifine, kind of surprised me, but it's got some serious issues. We're going to check it out right after this. Actually, I thought I was going to do this whole review with me hand holding it since it has a very tiny stand, but that's going to give you handling noise, and then I can't show it off very easily, and I talk with my hands, so I need to go put this on an arm. I'll be right back. TubeBuddy is the best tool you can get to manage your YouTube channel. You can update videos in bulk, optimize your SEO, syndicate to social media, back up your metadata, and more, all with a simple browser extension. Head to EposVox.com/TubeBuddy to learn more and download it for free. So this microphone right here that I had to set up on this very sad, pathetic little mic arm is the Fifine K670. I received a massive number of requests to check out Fifine microphones, specifically this one, and so I set it up. However, I had some major issues with the drivers of this mic, which we will talk about in a moment. The mic itself comes in this nice white box with some labeling. You've got the microphone itself, the little mic arm mount that it comes with, a little screw adapter for that, and even comes with this nice little desktop stand, which is super heavy weighted. It's got a nice rubber pad on the bottom, and instead of being adjustable, it just has 3 segments that you could screw off. The problem is this thing is tiny, which is why I had to set it up on the arm here so I could have it suspended on its own. And just screwing off those modules, like, are you going to just, like, sit up against your desk? Like, how are you supposed to use a mic arm this small for any real use? Like, this is, like, 3 feet below my mouth. The mic itself is pretty nice. It's got some black and silver accents. It's kind of some faux metal plasticiness with some aluminum grating on here. When you plug it in and it has power, there's a blue LED inside the grill that indicates that it's, you know, plugged in and active. And then it has a volume adjustment dial on it and a headphone out port on the back to act as a USB sound card for your listening. However, the USB cable it comes with is about 5 or 6 feet long, which is great because I have to run this to my secondary gaming PC in order to get it to work, and it has a nice little Velcro strap for it, little silver accents on it, looks pretty nice. It can act as a USB sound card. However, this volume adjustment dial is actually for the microphone input, as well as, you know, you have the Windows gain adjustment as well. So you have 2 different levels of, you know, noise that you have to balance between the on microphone dial and the in Windows settings to avoid clipping and distortion and peaking, because it can get pretty gnarly sounding. And this it's not just the volume for the USB sound card, which is what it should be. IMO, you should only, for these kind of all-in-one USB solutions, the only volume control for the mic you should have should be in software, gain and things like that there. So you're going to run into some noise levels here, or some, you know, distortion and clipping levels if you go too far either direction with your gain controls. So the solution that I have is about the volume adjustment dial set to about the 12 o'clock position. It's almost straight up and down, but a little off to the right. That gets you, I guess, about 55 to 60% of the volume. Gets you to a good amount of levels in Windows, and then I have Windows's actual audio levels for the USB audio device set to around 70, and that seems to get a good balance where if I get too close or talk too loud, I still clip sometimes, and I may have already in this video, which is why I moved it further back, but generally gets a good balance between that and just outright peaking and distorting. But there doesn't seem to be any sort of limiter or compressor or anything like that built in to prevent you from just completely overmodulating like crazy, which you absolutely can do if you crank it up enough. Now, you've been hearing the microphone this whole time. I have it recording to my gaming PC here, synced up with my in-camera recording. It sounds pretty good. It's the sound quality from it is actually fairly impressive. I was quite surprised to hear it play back. I realize people complain that I have a very powerful voice as is, and I know how to project, so I can make a lot of microphones sound pretty good, but it is a USB condenser microphone. And if you don't know the difference between a condenser and a dynamic, I have that explanation in my Audio-Technica BP40 review. But basically, a condenser microphone receives active power, which activates the diaphragm in it that is always listening for sound waves and vibrations, so it's always picking up sound, be that background sound, things like that. Whereas a dynamic mic has a different kind of capsule in it that is more activated by the sound that you project to it, so it does a lot better job of rejecting background noise and having a low electronic noise floor. Like the electronics inside of it make very little noise compared to condenser microphones. Add in the fact that this also has a USB sound card crammed in here, and you can end up with some extra noise or background hiss, things like that. And it sounds pretty good right here as I'm talking on it. You will, of course, want a pop filter on it if it's close to your mouth. However, you have to have it right here. And the issue is a lot of users end up putting it really far away and trying to game on it. And so we're going to do a typing test as well as push it further away here. So I'm going to swing it out. So this is the microphone swung out up against my monitor pretty much, which is where a lot of people want to keep their microphones for some reason. So I'm talking louder to compensate for it, and I will just have to add gain in post. And I'm going to start typing on the keyboard while I'm talking. These are Cherry MX Blue switches with O-rings. Talking while typing, do a little bit of mouse clicks, click, click, click. It's picking up a lot of stuff, and if your computer fans are ramping up or you have background noise, it's going to pick some of that up. However, follow the rules of physics, bring the mic closer to your mouth source, and adjust the volume levels as I described, and add a little bit of gain in posts in OBS or in your audio editing software. You know, it's much more important to have it quieter than ideal in your recording and then amplify it later than to have it too loud and risk clipping all the time in your recording. Overall, it sounds pretty good. It's $50, pretty good value. It's one of the better, cheaper pseudo knockoff condenser microphones that are on the market. Just keep in mind the inherent flaws and risks involved when using such a microphone. I am of the mindset that you should be using a dynamic microphone for desktop live streaming setups. They reject more background noise. They do a better job of just producing the sound that you want. But not everybody feels that way, and some people prefer the more natural sound reproduction of condenser microphones, even cheap ones like this. But if you are interested in a dynamic microphone that will reject background noise better, the Samson Q2U is my go-to recommendation for that. It is close to this price point. You can usually get it on sale for about $50. I will have my review link to that in the video description. But the big problem that I have with this microphone, however, is the driver situation seems to be terrible. And this is a problem with a lot of these cheaper microphones. Every time I plug this microphone into my computer, it shows up as the device being mic test, which is clearly not the driver that's probably supposed to be on it. I did some research, and there are lots of people who have trouble with the driver giving them errors or otherwise just not working at all. And for me, on my main computer, I couldn't get the microphone to show up at all. Like, it kept showing up as mic test, but the driver itself in Device Manager would list as an error, and I couldn't get it to show up in audio programs or anything like that. The digital audio interface for the headphones would show up as an input device, but I could never get some audio to come in. On my gaming PC, however, which is where I'm recording this, I was able to, if I right-click in Device Manager, the mic_test, and uninstall it, and then unplug it and plug it back in, usually around the third or fourth time, it'll finally actually install and initiate the driver properly and be usable in Audacity, Audition, things like that. But every time I unplug and replug the microphone, I gotta go in and uninstall it and do the unplug, replug, loop-de-loop, or else I run into that issue. So a huge issue with this, and these kinds of issues alone are usually what makes me say to stay away from a microphone that has this issue as a known common issue, because you don't want to deal with this with any kind of work. So do keep that in mind. There are lots of Reddit posts about this. I am not alone in this regard. But there are also plenty of reviews that don't mention this at all, so I don't know, dude. That's all I got to say about this. Pretty good value. Sounds all right. I will throw up a read of... Actually, I'll go on and do that here. We can go ahead and do my usual 3 rings read, and I'll add some post-processing to it as well. But let's do one first, showing background noise rejection. My computer just blue screened. Thankfully, I'm not using it to record, but I just got a stop code attempted to write to read-only memory. That's not good. All right, so we're going to do this with some white noise playing so you can see the background noise rejection. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. This is what the white noise sounds like projecting directly into the microphone here. I'm going to rotate it around the microphone, so this is the front. You talk into this end where the Fifine logo is. Three rings for the Elven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. I just wanted to note as well that having the USB or the headphone jack on the back is not a good thing, because you want it as close to you as possible, so whenever you move with your earbuds, that's going to be pulling on the microphone. That's a little weird. All right, now I'm going to do a read so we can compare it with some post-processing applied. Again, I'm not great at this, but just a general idea that you can get a little bit more oomph and crunch out of the microphone. 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie. Now, this microphone will exhibit a little bit of the proximity effect, which means the closer you get up on it, the more punch you can kind of give the audio, but you really have to worry about clipping and distorting on this microphone. So we'll see how this sounds, but 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne. Those are not the words, but this is a Lord of the Rings radio commercial. That was clipping to all hell. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother trying. But if you get super up close, you got to worry about popping, plosives, and you got to worry about clipping as well. So this has been my review. I got to figure out why my computer blue screened and why my capture card isn't working. I had a little bit of a static shock that made some monitors flicker off for a second, and suddenly my main capture card stopped working, so I got to record this in camera, and now I'm getting a blue screen. This is concerning. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Product link will be in the description below as always. Subscribe for more tech education. Check out all my other mic reviews. Playlist link in the description below. Check us out on Reddit, Discord, Patreon, Ko-fi, donor box, yada yada. I'll see you in the next one.